discussing American dishes that other nations have outlawed. Be sure to subscribe to the most viewed channel before we begin. After that, let us know in the comments what additional global food statistics you'd like to learn more about. Let's now examine just how mistaken the rest of the world is. There have been reports concerning the perils of eating Skittles ever since the invention of the candy. Everyone in the class has at least once overheard a student say that eating the red ones makes you sterile. Yellow ones too? They cause cancer in you. It seems to be worse than that. To begin with, your classmate wasn't mistaken. Yellow 5 and yellow 6 dyes have been connected to hives and hyperactivity in kids. Out of concern, the candies have been prohibited in Sweden and Norway. By the end of the year, the European Union will probably have banned Skittles, having already replaced some of the dye with more natural flavors. This is due to a substance called titanium dioxide, which is present and responsible for the rainbow's vibrant colors. According to research, titanium dioxide can harm DNA, which can result in cancer. The Skittles awareness curve may be further along in Europe, but America is catching up swiftly. The Environmental Working Group requested that titanium dioxide be classified as hazardous in May of 2021. Before you ask, the FDA has confirmed that it is currently okay to consume some of that chemical substance. The colors of the rainbow are edible, but only in moderation. The parent company of Skittles, Mars Incorporated, is the target of an ongoing litigation in California. The complaint asserts that Skittles are not just poisonous, but also unfit for eating by humans. So perhaps play it safe for now. Instead, go eat some Swedish fish. Have you ever thought, I can't create a sandwich with that, when you looked at a piece of crusty French bread, whether in a cartoon or in real life? But let's be honest, it was probably in Pepe Le Pew's hands. Well, it's excellent that sliced bread was invented. Several European nations have actually outlawed a lot of the items that can be seen on American grocery store shelves. That's because we produce a lot of our bread with ingredients from many snack packs, in addition to grains, like azodicarbonamide, which helps bleach flour and fortify dough. Intriguing fact about azodicarbonamide: yoga mats are just one of the many industrial items that use it. Downward dogs. The European Union has outlawed the use of yoga mat material in food products because it strongly opposes the concept of its citizens ingesting it. Along with chicken, fish, and beef, pork is a common white meat in American cuisine. American meat consumers eat around 67 pounds of pig per person each year, including everything from bacon to ham, hot dogs to pork chops. Sweet! My chest is quivering. Don't get us wrong. Other countries consume swine exactly as much as Americans do, if not more. Why then does the U.S. not export a large number of delicious bacon-producing boars? America adds a lot of chemicals during manufacturing, it turns out. Many pig farmers utilize ractopamine in particular to increase pork ear porkers. Ractopamine, which we frequently add to meals, is prohibited in 160 nations since they all deem it dangerous for human consumption. As a result, exports of pork are now forbidden everywhere. Since banning ractopamine in 2009, the EU has not intervened in this matter. Since 2013, there has been no ractopamine in China or Russia. Perhaps this is so because ractopamine, when eaten in sufficient amounts, has similar effects to intoxicants in humans and can result in tachycardia, migraines, and muscle spasms. However, it is a modest cost to incur for a succulent piece of pork. Chicken is not an exception to the American practice of dousing items in a chlorine bath and labeling them FDA approved. PRTs, or pathogen-reducing treatments, use various chemicals to eliminate hazardous bacteria on raw meat. Over time, American food officials came to the conclusion that the most effective method for eliminating salmonella and other pathogens on raw poultry was a brief chlorine shock. Marinade in chlorine. And let's be clear, the EU has nothing against occasionally taking a sizable drink from the public pool. The hazards associated with consuming chlorine are actually quite small. The fact that chlorine baths only provide an eye-burning band help with a more significant issue, the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. They are concerned that the PRTs won't be enough to handle contamination from sources ranging from poor quality feed to dirty farm coops, in addition to the usual germs, asserting that no chemical rinse would ever eradicate all bacteria from meats severely contaminated as a result of poor sanitation. The EU labeled the chlorine rinse a easy remedy. Hearing it in French makes it even more painful. The closest any soft drink has gone to being fully armed is Mountain Dew. Did you know that soda is outright forbidden in Austria and Norway? That's because tartrazine, often known as Yellow 5, is what gives Mountain Dew its distinctive Chernobyl dazzling color. And if you still haven't developed ADHD, you'll recall the hue and number from the earlier Skittles segment. Headaches, hyperactivity, and a desire to irritate others have all been connected to it. Ironically, Mountain Dew actively promotes a hectic, over-caffeinated lifestyle, which is precisely the characteristics that make soda unpopular in other nations. Make the Dew. Cajun Blast. Woohoo! Additionally, Mountain Dew might be available in Europe, although the taste will be quite different. That's because Europe rode the Dew for exactly 2 years in the 1990s before ending it. The carbonated beverage, made in the 1940s by Tennessee beverage bottlers Barney and Allie Hartman, is more closely related to the recipe what is offered as Mountain Dew in the EU. The name Mountain Dew, which is an endearing Scottish phrase for moonshine, was initially intended for use as a whiskey mixer. The old advertisements used to say, "It'll tickle your innards." There are no lies here. Mountain Dew, yay! Since the 1960s, Little Debbie has offered a variety of zebra cakes, Star Crunches, Nutty Bars, Fudge Rounds, and Cosmic Brownies that are comforting snack foods for Americans. But its main selling point is the Little Debbie's Swiss Rolls, which are a combination of rich chocolate cake and buttery, creamy filling, as anyone who has ever had their lunch packed by a parent will confirm. Little Debbie items are distributed in almost 900 million cartons annually, but none of those boxes reach Austria or Norway. Yellow 5 and Red 40. Those naughty chemicals are to blame. Swiss rolls have been demonstrated to be harmful to children in these doses since they contain 32 milligrams of the color per product. Additionally, we're not just referring to inciting hyperactivity. However, one study revealed that Ritalin prescriptions for children were just half as beneficial as eliminating all artificial food colors from diets. The white blood cells are harmed by artificial food coloring, which lead to their mutation after just 3 hours, even if we are unable to establish a clear link between them and cancer. These colors may cause tumor cells to grow much more quickly when exposed. Because of this, researchers advise against consuming a lot of food colorings chronically over one's life. They should not be so good, though. Surprisingly, Little Debbie Swiss Rolls are available for purchase in the EU, but they are accompanied with warning signs informing parents of the potential risks to children, like, say, smokes. The first thing that comes to mind when you hear the phrase banned morning cereal is presumably one of the innumerable kid-friendly brands of sweet treats, like the oh-so-delicious Cookie Crisp. You might be shocked to find that Special K, the most uninteresting cereal ever, has been outlawed in Denmark and is discouraged throughout the EU. How is it the healthiest box of cereal on the store is prohibited, while Reese's Puffs and Cinnamon Toast Crunch are allowed to be sold? Ironically, due to its purported health advantages. The Advertising Standards Authority in the UK has criticized Special K for inflating the amount of folic acid included in each serving. Denmark has outright banned Special K since 2004, despite the fact that it is still legal to purchase in Europe due to all of its enhanced vitamins and minerals. Regulators contend that Special K should be classified as a genetically modified organism, or GMO due to its abnormally high levels of zinc and vitamin A. More specifically, Special K contains the same synthetic substances that research has linked to serious health hazards, particularly for children and expectant women. Finally, you might wish to continue using crunch berries. To travel to nations that forbid American cuisine, you don't need to take a transcontinental journey. Simply pull up to the Canadian border, show your passport, and affirm in writing that you are not transporting any steak tartare in your trunk. Consuming raw meat has become less popular in the U.S. today, similar to other foods like veal and pate that won't make you sick, but might make you depressed. But whereas bloated geese and newborn cow liver are already prohibited in some states in America, tartare is not. See, unlike tartare, which is cold, chopped up raw cow meat, veal and pate are served hot, despite the fact that they may be uncool. Food poisoning and parasite diseases can increase when foods are undercooked or uncooked, especially when it comes to beef and chicken. However, given how posh steak tartare is, some might even call it Titanic food, you'd think that nations might turn the other way and permit the pricey delicacy to flourish. And they did so for a very long period. To be deemed safe for serving in Canada, meat must achieve an internal temperature of 145 degrees Fahrenheit, or the same as a medium rare steak. But they are not properly adhered to. Up until recently, that is. All New Brunswick restaurant owners that serve steak tartare received stop and desist letters in 2021. In light of the growing COVID-19 health disaster, Canadian public health officials determined that the last thing their residents needed was a side order of botulism. Is there anything more American? Cocaine's fizz, flavor, and former secret ingredient. Coca-Cola is essentially apple pie in a can. And not just Americans have an unhealthy obsession with Coke. Coca-Cola was created by a pharmacist in Georgia in 1886, and it immediately gained popularity abroad. It was the preferred beverage of the World War II GIs. Coca-Cola was the best-selling soft drink and one of the most well-known brands ever before the epidemic, since it had 500 brands in more than 200 countries. There will, however, always be some exceptions. And for once, it's not related to health issues like the other items on the list. Everyone is aware of Coke's negative health effects. Collectively, we have just decided that, well, we don't care. No, the nations who have banned the trademark have done so because of what it stands for. A symbol of American capitalism's incursion. Coke sales to Burma were prohibited from 1962 to 2011 as part of U.S. sanctions on the military regime that ruled the nation until that year. In 2012, sales in the nation were resumed. There are now just 2 nations with long-term trade sanctions against the U.S. where Coca-Cola is not available. Coke has been prohibited in North Korea since 1950 and in Cuba since Fidel Castro seized the country's supply in 1962. The prequels came first, then Coke. Is there anything that the federalization of trade taxation can't ruin? Ironically, Cuba was one of the first countries outside of America to bottle the beverage. Coke has been replaced by Cuba Cola as the preferred soft drink in the nation today, while there are still many black market sales. After all, the Cuba Libre, often known as the rum and Coke, was invented there. The Mars and Hershey family's scientific offspring collaborated to create M&Ms, the delectable melt-in-your-mouth treats, in 1941. M&Ms, like Coca-Cola, were popular around the world during World War II thanks to American soldiers who promoted the candy as the chocolate that won't make your trigger finger sticky. However, you won't find the sweet in Sweden because it is illegal there, due to a trademark dispute with a well-known Swedish treat that likewise uses lowercase m's as its distinguishing feature. Accord decided that the candy's marketing was too similar to that of Norwegian Marabous, which resemble Kit Kats, when Mars brought it to Sweden in 2009. Marabou has relocated its manufacturing to its Swedish neighbors during World War I, where it was given a royal warrant of appointment by the Swedish king. And to think that we previously believed the Swiss to be chocolate snobs. Marabous is available in IKEA stores in the U.S. if you want to see what all the excitement is about. At least knowing that M&Ms don't contain any toxic dyes or chlorine residue is a positive thing. That represents a significant win for chocolate with a hard shell. What do you think, then? Which of these off-limit items has the most enticing name? Please tell us in the comments section.